This is Heliox, where evidence meets empathy. Independent, moderated, timely, deep, gentle, clinical, global, and community conversations about things that matter. Breathe easy. We go deep and lightly surface the big ideas. We're going to be looking at The Quantum Rose by Catherine Asaro.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a science fiction novel that kind of really delves into this fascinating idea of using quantum physics as a way to kind of mirror the complex relationships that the characters have.
Yeah.
And we've got three main characters, Kamoj, Jax, and Virl.
That's right.
And Asaro kind of uses this quantum scattering theory to kind of map their relationship.
It's really, really cool. The way that she takes something that's so abstract, like quantum physics, and kind of weaves it into this human drama that's unfolding in the novel.
Yeah. And I mean, just the fact that she chose quantum scattering theory.
Right.
You know, when I first read that, I was like, what? How is she going to make this work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and she really pulls it off. You know, she doesn't just sort of throw in a bunch of jargon to sound smart.
Right.
She actually uses these concepts in a way that's both accurate and really insightful.
Yeah.
So, you know, imagine those characters.
Yeah.
Almost as particles.
Okay.
And their interactions are governed by the same forces that shape the universe at its smallest scale.
So they're like these subatomic particles bouncing around.
Yeah, it's almost like their relationships are being dictated by the laws of physics.
Yeah. So how does that work?
Okay, well, you know, you brought up the billiard ball analogy, and that's actually a great place to start.
Okay.
Think of each interaction between Kamoj, Jax, and Virl as a kind of collision.
Okay.
Similar to how particles scatter off of each other.
Okay.
Sometimes these collisions lead to stable connections, like the formation of a molecule.
Okay.
Other times they result in disruption and change.
So it's like their destinies are predetermined by these collisions.
Well, I wouldn't say it's that deterministic. You know, Asaro doesn't necessarily say we're all just puppets of the quantum world. Instead, she's using these concepts to explore the forces, both internal and external, that shape our connections with others. So, you know, take the initial meeting of Kamoj and Jax, for example. It's like an elastic collision. They bounce off each other. But their paths are forever altered by that encounter.
Okay, so then Virl enters the picture, and things get a little bit more complicated. Virl is kind of this catalyst that throws everything into chaos.
That's a great way to put it. He's like this high-energy particle disrupting the existing bond between Kamoj and Jax. It's like he opens up this new channel for interaction, creating a completely new dynamic.
Okay, but how does Asaro represent this shift in terms of like the actual quantum physics?
Well, she uses this concept of a rearrangement channel.
Okay.
So picture this Virl acting as particle 3. Essentially takes Kamoj particle 1 from Jax.
Okay.
They form a new bond. You know, the 1-3 state.
Okay.
But it's not as stable as that previous connection between Kamoj and Jax.
Yeah, it's more like this temporary kind of fragile arrangement.
And Asaro actually describes this new relationship as metastable.
Okay.
And that word has a direct connection to what's happening on a quantum level.
So in physics, what does metastable actually mean?
It's kind of like a house of cards.
Okay.
It exists, but it's precarious and easily disrupted.
Okay.
And that's exactly what happens.
Right.
Jax's continued presence acts like a destabilizing force, a perturbation on the Kamoj-Virl pairing.
So Jax, instead of just disappearing, is actually interfering.
Exactly.
Kind of making things even more...
Yeah, he's like a constant source of instability.
Unstable. Yeah.
It's almost as if their relationship is constantly being bombarded by his energy.
Okay, but why would she use perturbation? It seems like such a specific word to choose.
Well, I think there's a deeper meaning there. You know, if you think about what Jax represents in the story, he embodies all those societal expectations and traditions that clash with Kamoj and Virl's unconventional bond.
Okay.
So his perturbations could be seen as a metaphor for all those external pressures and judgments they face.
So it's not just about the feelings between the characters.
Exactly.
It's also about those forces that are kind of trying to pull them apart.
It's like society itself is trying to perturb their relationship.
Wow. That's pretty intense.
And this brings us to one of the most intriguing aspects of their connection. The concept of resonance. Asaro describes Kamoj and Viral's minds as being in resonance. Much like particles vibrating at similar frequencies. And their mental and emotional connection seems to amplify each other's presence. Creating this powerful force that draws them together.
So even though this relationship is considered metastable, there's this intense pull between them.
Exactly. It's this beautiful illustration of how Asaro uses these scientific concepts to capture the complexities of human relationships. But you have to remember, their bond is still incredibly fragile. Jax's interference, those constant perturbations, they take their toll, eventually leading to a state of predissociation.
Hold on. Break that down for me. What is predissociation?
Well, think of it as a gradual unraveling. In quantum mechanics, predissociation happens when a metastable state kind of leaks into the continuum, eventually releasing those bound particles. And in the story, this translates to a period where Kamoj, Jax, and Viral become like free particles, each on their own, unattached, drifting.
So their fragile bond kind of finally breaks apart under the weight of all those pressures and conflicts.
After all the perturbations.
So it seems like this sense of the characters being adrift and a loss sets the stage for the next phase of the story.
Exactly. And that leads us to the mass migration. Which is where the analogy takes on a whole new dimension.
And that's where we're going to have to pick up next time in part 2.
It's going to get even more interesting.
So be sure to join us as we delve deeper into this fascinating world of the quantum rose.
Absolutely.
It's a wild ride.
It is a wild ride.
So buckle up.
Hey there, listeners. If you're enjoying today's episode, check out our previous episodes where we dive deep into fascinating topics in scientific research and more. Don't forget to tell your friends and family about Heliox. Back to Heliox, where evidence meets empathy.
So we left off with these characters kind of in this state of predissociation. Each of them just drifting like free particles, completely unmoored from their previous connections. Which sounds pretty bleak. But I'm curious, how does this personal turmoil actually connect to this larger event of the mass migration that's happening in the book?
Well, that's where Asaro's analogy kind of expands to encompass this much grander scale. She compares this migration to the scattering of light in a rainbow. So imagine thousands of people moving across the land, their paths seemingly chaotic, but still determined by these forces beyond their control. Just like light rays, refracting and reflecting within water droplets to create that spectrum of colors.
So instead of individual particles, now we're looking at this whole wave of human experience.
Exactly.
But does that mean that Asaro is suggesting that individual choice is meaningless in the face of these larger events?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say she takes a purely deterministic view.
Okay.
Remember, even in physics,
yeah,
there's an element of uncertainty in how particles scatter.
Okay.
So she seems to be exploring this tension between individual agency and the influence of these larger societal forces. So within this vast migration, each person is still making choices. Each interaction still carries weight, even if that ultimate destination remains uncertain.
So it's not about being completely powerless, but rather navigating this interplay of forces. Yeah. It makes me wonder if she's also drawing a parallel between the intensity of the migration and the vibrancy of a rainbow.
You're picking up on some really subtle connections there.
Oh, am I?
Yeah. The intensity of the migration, that sheer number of people on the move, does mirror the brightness of a rainbow. Both are created through these complex scattering events. A multitude of individual actions, resulting in this breathtaking, almost overwhelming display.
So even in the midst of all this chaos and uncertainty, there's a kind of beauty to be found in the collective movement of humanity.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
But thinking back to those characters that we were talking about earlier, where do Kamoj, Jax, and Viral fit into this larger picture?
Their journeys actually become intertwined with the migration. Okay. Mirroring the scattering of light in a different way.
Okay.
Remember those glories we mentioned earlier?
Those rings of light
Right.
sometimes seen around the sun or the moon.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Asaro connects them to a vision of an ancient city that appears in the story.
Mm-hmm.
This shimmering halo of light
Okay.
that guides the characters on their paths.
So she's weaving together these different scales of scattering from individual interactions to these societal movements to these almost mystical visions.
It's like she's saying everything is interconnected.
Yeah.
Like the same forces are at play in the smallest particles and the grandest event.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
That she's able to do that.
But there's one element we haven't touched on yet
Okay.
that adds another layer to this idea of interconnectedness.
Okay.
Asaro cleverly uses the concept of a projection operator
Okay.
to represent a family being torn apart.
Wait, back up a second. How does a projection operator from quantum mechanics relate to something as human as a family?
It's a brilliant metaphor.
Okay.
In quantum physics, a projection operator is this mathematical tool that's used to select specific states from a larger system.
Okay.
So imagine you have a family photo and someone is cut out of that picture.
Yeah.
That absence changes the image, right?
Right.
Similarly, when members of Viral's family are taken away, it's like they're being projected out of the system.
Wow.
The remaining members are forever impacted by that loss.
So she's not just using quantum concepts to explain relationships, but also to explore the dynamics of entire families.
Exactly.
And the ripple effects of loss and separation.
It's like she's showing us that even the removal of seemingly small parts
Yeah.
could have a profound impact on the whole.
Wow. That's a really powerful way to think about it.
It is.
It's really interesting how Asaro uses these quantum concepts to kind of illustrate these larger societal dynamics.
Right.
It's like she's saying that even when our lives feel like they're being scattered and reshaped by forces beyond our control, there's still this room for hope and agency.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't shy away from those difficult questions about choice and destiny.
Yeah.
But she also reminds us that there's this resilience inherent in the human spirit.
Yeah.
This capacity to adapt and evolve even when facing these extraordinary challenges.
It's a message that really resonates, especially in a world that often feels so chaotic and unpredictable.
Absolutely.
What about you? What struck you as the most surprising or unexpected connection between the quantum concepts and the characters' inner lives?
You know what really fascinated me was how Asaro used the idea of quantum entanglement to explore the complex relationship between Kamoj and Viral.
Now that you mention it, I do remember that being a key theme in the book.
Yeah.
But how does entanglement actually play out in their story?
Okay, so imagine two particles that are linked together in such a way that their fates are intertwined, no matter how far apart they are.
Yeah.
What happens to one instantly affects the other.
So it's like they're connected by this invisible thread.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm vaguely following. But how does that relate to Kamoj and Viral?
Well, it's not a literal entanglement, of course.
Okay.
But Asaro uses this concept to illustrate this profound connection they share.
Okay.
You know, their thoughts, their emotions, even their destinies seem inextricably linked.
So even when they're physically separated, their bond remains.
Exactly. It's like they're influencing each other from afar.
So it's almost like a form of telepathy or shared consciousness.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
You know, their entanglement becomes this metaphor for the deep intuitive understanding that they have of each other.
Okay.
A bond that goes beyond words or physical proximity.
It makes me wonder if Asaro is suggesting that human connection can operate
on a level that we don't fully comprehend yet.
It's a possibility. You know, maybe there are forces at play that science hasn't quite caught up with.
Right. It's pretty mind-blowing to think about.
It is.
But entanglement isn't always portrayed as a positive thing.
Right.
I mean, I seem to recall that in the book, it also had some darker implications.
You're absolutely right. Asaro also explores the potential downsides of this intense interconnectedness. When Kamoj and Viral experience emotional turmoil, it's almost as if their entangled states amplify their pain and suffering.
Oh, wow.
They're so in tune with each other that they can't escape each other's negative emotions.
So it's like a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
They benefit from the strength of their connection, but they're also more vulnerable to each other's pain.
It highlights the inherent complexity of human relationships.
Right. Even the most profound connections can have their challenges and drawbacks.
Absolutely. It makes you think, if we're all potentially entangled with others in ways we don't fully understand, does that mean we have a responsibility to be more mindful?
That's a great question.
Of how our thoughts and actions might affect those around us?
It's a profound question.
Yeah.
And one that I think Asaro implicitly asks us to consider.
Okay.
If our inner states can influence others, even on a subtle level, it does suggest a certain level of ethical responsibility.
It's like this reminder that our connections with others are powerful.
Yeah.
And that even small acts of kindness or compassion can have a ripple effect.
And conversely, negative emotions or harmful actions can also have those far-reaching consequences.
So the Quantum Rose is offering us more than just this fascinating exploration of science and relationships.
Right.
It's also inviting us to think more deeply about the ethical implications of our interconnectedness.
It challenges us to consider the broader impact of our choices.
Yeah.
And to recognize that we're all part of this delicate web of relationships that extends far beyond our individual selves.
But I think we've only just scratched the surface of all the thought-provoking ideas in the Quantum Rose.
It's a book that stays with you.
Yeah, it really does.
Long after you finish reading it.
And it definitely sparks a lot of interesting conversations.
It certainly does.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into The Quantum Rose by Catherine Asaro.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring this fascinating intersection of quantum physics, human relationships, and all the ethical dilemmas that arise from our interconnected world.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep questioning.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring and keep those minds entangled.
Yes.
In the best possible way.
In the best possible way.